Back to my dad's channel. Welcome back to my dad's channel. Welcome back to my dad's channel.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Phoenix 198720 here to bring you my latest episode and my Let's Talk About series. In today's topic, we're going to talk about Nintendo Switch games that was once on the Nintendo Wii U. And I only did top 5 games, guys, that are the top sellers for Nintendo Switch, just to see the numbers of what they did, Nintendo Switch versus the Nintendo Wii U. And the 5 games I have are Mario Kart 8, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, New Super Mario Bros. U, Super Mario 3D World, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now, Mario Kart 8 is the biggest game so far on Nintendo Switch, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna show you the numbers right now of the Wii U. The Wii U, as much of you all know, did not do well overall. So it only put up numbers of 8.4 million copies sold, and that right there is a lot for one unit. It's pretty much sold 70% of that game to every Wii U user out there. Now, the same game on the Nintendo Switch, the only difference on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm not gonna lie guys, is you guys get the 200 cc's right away, all the DLC content right away on the Nintendo Switch. So no extra money, but they didn't really do much. But on the Switch, it sold 35.39 million copies worldwide. Is now classed as the top selling racing game in video game history. That's a lot of copies. And now I'm going to move on to the Breath of the Wild. And the Breath of the Wild, the Wii U and Nintendo Switch kind of is not a fair fight, because it's one of the last games that came out on the Wii U, but one of the very first games that came out on the Nintendo Switch. They were dropped simultaneously. Nintendo purposely delayed the Wii U game so it can be a day one release on the Nintendo Switch. And the Wii U numbers, not as great as people would hope it would be, but it only sold 1.69 million copies worldwide versus what the Nintendo Switch did. And the Nintendo Switch did a total of 22.84 million copies worldwide. That's a huge difference. That game is now considered one of the top selling Legend of Zelda games in history. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody loves this game. Everybody enjoys it. It's got DLC that came out with it. And it's got one spin-off to it, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And we know we're getting a sequel to that game. So this should still continue rolling, because if you haven't got this game, Breath of the Wild, for the Switch, you're probably going to pick it up before you get Breath of the Wild 2 for the Switch. And now we're going to move on to my next game, New Super Mario Bros. U. Super Mario Bros. U is a classic on the Nintendo Wii U. And when I mean classic, it did really well in its numbers. It sold 5.81 million copies for the Nintendo Wii U. That's good numbers, because video game companies want to see their games selling at the average of 5 million copies. That's what they want to see. They're hoping to hit the 10 million, but their expectations right now are 5 million. So that sold above 5 million. But the Nintendo Switch, the numbers did almost doubled, not quite doubled it, but did well, and it sold 10.44 million. And that game is fun as hell. It's your side scroller, but 3D version of it, and it works perfectly. It brings the older generation that grew up on Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3 into the Nintendo Switch world, and Nintendo Wii World that loved those type of side-scroller games. Now, they were awesome games, and they still are. And I can't wait until Nintendo releases the next Super Mario Bros. Game. Now, Super Mario 3D World did come out on the Wii U, and it came out on the Switch. And me comparing those two games right now is unfair because the Switch game has only been out for 6 months. So the numbers on the Wii U say that this is probably one of the top selling games besides Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. What's this game right here? It sold 5.87 million copies worldwide. That's just on the Wii U alone. And for the Switch, which is the game's only been out since February, it's only sold 5.59 million. But it's only been out for 6 months, guys. If you give it another 6 more months, it's probably going to go way past that. But the only difference between the Wii U game and the Nintendo Switch game is they added an additional part to it. I wouldn't say it's a full game because it only lasts, you only have 4 to 5 hours of gameplay for story mode. And it's very basic, which added Bowser's Fury. You get to play as Mario, and the second player got to play as Bowser Jr. It's not your typical Mario game, and I'm not sure what they were going for that. But like I said, the Wii U version outsold the Nintendo Switch version, but the Nintendo Switch version has only been available for 6 months. And my last game I'm going to do is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And on the Wii U game, it was a fun game. And it was able to move not as much numbers as it would like to, but it did. It sold 2.01 million copies around the world. That isn't bad. That isn't great. It's okay. It's good. But they end up porting it over to the Nintendo Switch, adding Funky Kong in there, and just little tiny upgrades to it, which only sold 2.65 million copies. That right there is a little more, but probably not enough for Retro Studios to say we were happy with that game. It's a fun game. I enjoyed it. I got my ass kicked in it, but it was a great game. And it's just showing that Donkey Kong fans are slowly coming out to grab these games. And guarantee this is the 40th anniversary for Donkey Kong. We can guarantee we're going to see something if that game is a price drop just to advertise, or if they're going to come out with a new Donkey Kong game this year or within the calendar, business calendar year. But we never know what Nintendo is going to do. So these are the numbers of the 5 top selling Nintendo Switch games that were once on the Nintendo Wii U. And there's nothing wrong with these. You can see that since the Switch came out and has been more successful than the Wii U was, these numbers are possible. Anything's possible. And that's what video games want. Video gamers want this stuff. They want, and as much as people say, oh, stop with the ports, stop with the ports, all game systems are getting nothing but ports. But there's another side of that coin. We're asking for these ports. And like I said, we are asking for these ports. So, numbers don't lie here, guys. The Wii U, because it wasn't commercially successful and it was seen as a commercial failure, couldn't sell the software. The Nintendo Switch was successful. It sold the software. As much as Nintendo wanted the Wii U to hit those stars out there, and it wasn't able to hit all the stars that it wanted to, they saw, okay, we revised our hardware, we put out the Nintendo Switch, and now the Nintendo Switch is doing what the Wii U couldn't, selling software. And that's all Nintendo's try to be. Gimmick machines selling software. Software sells machines. Can't go wrong. Nintendo's got a smart business plan ahead of them. And they know what they're talking about. So, like I said, numbers do not lie. So this is the end of my episode, end of my segment for my Let's Talk About It. And I want you guys to do me a solid. hit that like button. Share this with all your friends and family and across all your social media platforms. If you're new to my channel, I want you to do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button, then turn around and hit that notification bell. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, I thank you a lot for coming back to my channel. I appreciate every time you guys watch one of my episodes. And drop me down a comment below. The good, the bad is all good to me. Until further ado, this is Phoenix 1987-20 saying I hope you guys have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening. Peace.